Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory be to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. And I want to say double honors to the apostles and the elders of great millstone that rule well. And blessings to the hopeful elect out there listening and learning, teaching this word in sincerity and truth, in the hopes that we may edify and feed the lambs of Yahweh Shai, especially in these last days. And pretty much I just wanted to do a quick lesson on this this what you see here on the screen. I don't want to play the song because I don't want to get like this is from ABC News. I don't want to get like a strike or anything like that. But as you can see, the title, it says jewelry melted into bars in India amid anxious rush to invest in gold. And they got this certain festival that's happening over there among Elam and that in India, where a lot of people usually tend to buy gold around this time, but now people are anxious to buy the gold because obviously the price of the gold, is starting to skyrocket. And why do you think that's happening? It's happening because, the global economic situation, even with these tariffs and stuff, you're starting to see, people that want to flock to more of a safe haven. Which, you can't print gold, you can't print silver. That's something that, you just can't do. And gold is spoken of in the scriptures, right? In Genesis, the 13th chapter, it speaks about how our forefather Abraham was rich in cattle and silver and gold. So that's real, like that's real wealth, if you will, And gold is something that's it's always stood the test of time. Regardless of the empire or empires that have existed, that have rose and have fallen. And who do you think allowed these empires to rise and fall? It's the Most High. He rules in the kingdom of men. You know, whether it be the Babylonians, the Medo-Persians, whether it be the Greeks, the first leg of the pagan Roman Empire. And now we're currently living in the second leg of Rome. Whereas before you had that two-party system with the plebeians and the patricians, and now you got the Republicans and the Democrats. It ain't nothing new. And we're coming into a time of hyperinflation. We're coming to a time where people are gonna start panic buying more, because they're gonna start seeing more and more shortages, on them shelves, especially in these cities. That's why the scripture says, in 2 Ezra 16 and 21, behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. Even then shall evils grow upon the earth, the sword, famine, and great confusion. So people, victuals is like your food, your provisions. You might buy, water, you might buy a bag of rice, you might buy, your groceries, you know what I'm saying? Anything that you use to feed your family, you stock up them, stocking up them cupboards in your kitchen and that. But there's going to come a time when that's going to be hard to come by because famine is on the horizon. All right. And that's when the shit's going to hit the fan. And when the shit hits the fan, I was watching a video by one of them channels, one of those truther channels. I think it's Nation's Conspiracy, I think it was. And he was talking about these elites, because he was talking about how these elites have built down underground bases, basically caves under the earth. And they've sunk trillions, into these underground caves. All right, which, I can believe that's something that they be doing because the scripture says, that they're gonna be, pretty much going into the caves of the earth. But then the Lord's hand's gonna take them, I mean, it's somewhere in Amos, in the book of Amos. If Lord willing, I'll put it on the comment board post. After I've uploaded the video, I'll put it in the comment board, the actual scripture there. All right. But what you gotta understand is that all the fiat currency that people have been used to, going back to the topic of the video, people have been used to breaking their necks, breaking their backs just to make, fiat currency. It doesn't really exist, man. It's just it only has power over the people by what they believe it, um, what they believe it to be. They pretty much, as a collective, the people that believe that fiat currency is actually valuable, it's really, these elites have really tricked the people into believing that that's real money when it's not real money. And this is clearly showing you that it's not real money. And that's why, let me play you some of this here. And fair use, fair use, fair use. I'm not making any money from this video. I'm just, this is purely for educational purposes. So fair use, fair use, fair use.
On this holiday, retailers say demand is lower than normal this year.
We, jewelers, are nervous. The customer is also nervous. The gold, which used to cost around 40,000 rupees, now costs 100,000 rupees.
So the gold, which used to cost 40,000 rupees, now costs 100,000 rupees, which is over double, over 100%. Uptick in price, to be able to buy a certain jewelry that they used to buy for this festival around this time and this and that. So, it's letting you know that pretty much gold is on the up, silver's on the up. Whether they're being heavily manipulated, which we know that the price of gold and silver is being heavily manipulated. But at the same time, what you got to understand is that these fiat currencies, the global economy, these elites that have set up their fractional reserve banking system through the Federal Reserve, pretty much being able to print money and that and tell you that it's real money, it's pretty much coming out that it's all been a lie. All right, and safe havens are being looked for, and that's why you're seeing people invest in gold and silver. Which the apostles have told us about this. The apostles had it right all along. These precious metals, because again, you can't print this. Like these, with fractional reserve banking or quantitative easing, if you will, with these bankers and how they print all this money. The hyperinflation comes about because of the amount of money that's being printed, but not just being printed, but actually being put back into circulation by spending. Which is what Elder Apostle Tar has been telling us. So people are gonna find out. That's why the scripture says, that peace and safety spirit. The scripture says, where they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. So peace and safety, man, that's out, man. We're not in a time of peace. We're not in a time of safety. We're in a time of war. India right now, I think they're at war with Pakistan, man. There's things going on. There's wars and rumors of wars happening right now. You still got the Ukraine Russia thing. You still got tensions with Iran, America, Palestine, Israel. You still got conflicts. You still got proxy wars going on. So, we're in a time of great, global unrest. And really it's a beautiful time to be alive because, the more unrest there is, the faster that they're going to come with this chip, and implant these people in these cities. And that's when Yahweh Shai is going to come and gather the elect. You know what I'm saying? So we got great things to look forward to. We got to keep our head up. The scripture says, lift up your head for your redemption joy of night. What does the scripture say in Romans 13 and 11? And that now is high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believed. So our salvation's close. So to be in that peace and safety spirit is true, man. We gotta be spiritually armed with this word. Let me play some more.
India is the second largest consumer of gold after China, and jewellery makes up nearly 70% of India's total gold demand. This year, a new trend has emerged, with customers trading in old bangles and rings to be melted down and turned into gold bars.
So look at that, man. And it's going to turn into like a bartering system. When this global economy collapses, there's going to be a bartering system. It's going to be like Book of Eli out here, man. Trading, I don't know, like in the Book of Eli, what was he doing? Trading an iPod for, or wet wipes for like, to charge his iPod so he can listen to his music or whatever. It's going to be a bartering system out here. Because when the global economy collapses, they're going to push that chip out. And just like they show you in the movie Demolition Man with Sylvester Stallone, and Wesley Snipes, and you had people living underground, and they were eating rat burgers, man. You know, I like to reference old movies like that. Classic movies that I kind of grew up watching. My older brother, he in the world, he showed me. He used to watch certain movies and that, and now I can actually reference those movies that I used to watch as I was growing up, and I'm like, damn, that's actually like not far fetched from what's happening now. Electric cars that drive themselves, and that was in demolition, man. You had people living off the grid. You had the chip in demolition, man. You had the implant in there. You couldn't, pretty much it was a police state. It was totalitarianism, if you will. You couldn't even use a profanity. And they even show you in demolition, man. They weren't even used to crime. So the police had to refer to like a step by step system, like on an iPad or something, just to apprehend a criminal. Who the main criminal in that was Simon Phoenix, which is, pretty much them showing you Ordo ab Chaos. They released Simon Phoenix, which is Wesley Snipes. He played Simon Phoenix in the movie, and they released him into the public in order to stir up chaos, so that they can come forward with more order. See, they control both sides. Hegelian dialectic, pressure from above and pressure from beneath. So, this is all, being set up. It's all orchestrated because they want to crash the global economy. But as you can see, the people are starting to panic. The price of gold and silver, is having an uptick. And it's having that uptick because people are looking for safe havens. All right. Remember, the scripture says that that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark. So it's going to get to the point, it's going to get so bad out here economically that they're going to the great reset. They're going to reset the economy. They're going to introduce these, these chips. That's why they be talking about the blockchain, the CBDC, and, it's really going to come in the form of that chip that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark. So that mark, the MARK, man, the charagma, that's going to be a physical implant that's going to be put inside, your flesh, so you can just scan that and you can pay for things. But the elect are not going to be deceived into taking that chip. The scripture says if it was possible, they should deceive the very elect. So this is about enduring unto the end. The scripture says, he that endureth unto the end, the same shall be saved, man. And we don't worry about gold, silver. We don't worry about these things that these normal individuals out here are worrying about, scrambling for, because all they have is this. All they have is the bartering system. Well, guess what? The things that we lean on are spiritual, man. All right, the prophecies, salvation that's going to come through Yahushua coming to gather his elect. Read Matthew 24 and 30 on down. Yahushua is going to gather his elect, man. All right, and that's what we hope we're a part of. We hope we're a part of the elect, that we may be taken out of this situation. All right, that we're going to find ourselves in, a time like no other since there was a nation. Daniel 12 and 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. Right? And it shall be a time like no other since there was a nation. Loosely paraphrasing. So, and Michael goes back to the Hebrew Michael Allah, which means he who is like the power, basically. And the Lord is a man of war. So Michael, the archangel, is coming to bring war. Yahweh Shai is going to be leading the angels to bring war. That's why the scripture says, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down. And I know I'm kind of just, quoting things off the fly here, but, through the Spirit, these are the things that we ponder on. These are the things that we meditate upon. Like the scripture says in Surah 39. Be it occupied, in the meditation thereof. Seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and being occupied in prophecy. The word prophesy means to say before. So we're declaring, these things that are going to happen before they actually happen. All right?
Indicator of economic anxiety.
As gold prices keep soaring, buying new jewelry at affordable rates is becoming more difficult. So we're either repairing old gold jewelry or we're exchanging old jewelry to buy new jewelry.
Considered a safe haven in times of uncertainty.
You hear that? Considered a safe haven in times of uncertainty. Why are we in a time of uncertainty? Oh shit, look at that. That's a spirit. Look at that. Look at that. Oh man, hey, that's how you know, man. You see that? Hey, I didn't even know that was gonna happen. But you look at the scales, man. 144. 144 right there. Hey, that is spiritual, man. And what are they weighing on there? Gold. Hey, we don't the scripture speak about that? Every man shall be, every man's work shall be tried what sort it is, whether it be wood, hay, stubble, gold. Hey, the scripture speak about we shall be tried like the gold in the furnace. Scripture says, then shall it be known who are my chosen. 144,000, the tabernacle of David, man. The governing body, man. This is a beautiful time. This is beautiful. Hey, the 12,000 out of each of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, the 144,000, the tabernacle of David. You can't tell me that we're not at the end. Look at this, man. Right? Jewelry. Hey, the Lord said he was going to make up his jewels. Right? Considered a safe haven in times of uncertainty. That is a beautiful picture to behold. The Lord said he will make up his jewels, man. And we are his jewels. If we're the elect, we are his jewels. Alright? But here it's talking about gold being a safe haven. Because people are, because remember, America, they removed their gold standard. I think during, President Nixon time, 1973, they removed the gold standard. So these fiat currency, paper dollars, you can't transfer them in for gold. You even had the Bretton Woods where, 1944, when they pretty much America got like multiple nations together and then pretty much, had them, tied to the dollar, in exchange for all the gold. That's a part of history too. That's exactly what happened. Nations started asking for their gold back, and America's like, look, we ain't got that gold. They removed the gold standard. So in times of uncertainty, Abraham was rich in cattle, silver, and in gold. So real riches, man. Which ultimately, the ultimate real riches is this truth. Romans 11:33. Oh, the depth of the riches, both of the wisdom and the knowledge of the Most High. The scripture says that, man. Oh my goodness. I'm still just, I'm a kind of, wow.
Gold prices are at a record high. Forecasts have topped
Oh man, it even zoomed in on it. You me pull that back.
$3,000 for the first time.
Gold is getting so expensive right now. Still, keeping prosperity in mind, I'll buy at least 1 or half a gram of gold, and that's why I've come here.
Across Asia, people are
Right.
Buying new jewelry at affordable
Anyways,
prices
look,
becoming
you saw it anyway. You saw it anyway. That's spirit. Anyway, look, I'm just gonna leave it there. I pray this is an edifying lesson. The scripture speak about it. Go to now, you rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Esau's time is done, man. All right, his time is over. The saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom, and the saints of the Israelites. So Esau's kingdom is coming to an end. Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, as the scriptures say. 2 Ezra 6:9. Right? The scripture says that he swallowed down riches, but yet he shall vomit them up. So all that gold, man, that's going to be transferable to us, man. You know what I'm saying? Esau just keeping that gold warm for us. Like the scripture says, to bind these kings with chains and these nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. It's been written, man. Anyway, shalom to the elect.